If you remember a few weeks ago when Xbox announced the acquisition of ZeniMax and Bethesda, a lot of people were excited. But most people had one huge question on their minds, which is, will Xbox make all Bethesda games exclusive to the Xbox platform? This question has been talked about for weeks, and it seems to come up almost every single day, especially since Phil Spencer himself said that they will take each game made by Bethesda on a case-by-case basis. Once he said that, a lot of people around the gaming world figured he wouldn't dare put Bethesda games like Elder Scrolls or Fallout as exclusive Xbox games. And to make the argument even better, a lot of media types said that Xbox had to make up the $7.5 billion they spent on Bethesda by bringing games out. To do that, they would most certainly have to put those games on the PlayStation systems and other systems and platforms in order for them to make the money back. Well, it would seem that Phil Spencer heard the feedback and the narratives making the rounds in the gaming media. So when he had an interview with Kotaku, he really put to rest a lot of these so-called expert narratives. Because while Xbox and Microsoft did spend $7.5 billion to buy Bethesda, which went down in history as the second biggest acquisition in gaming history, that doesn't mean that Xbox is desperate to make that money back by any means necessary. For me, I always said this was a power move by Xbox, and they wanted to do this so they can take a massive foothold in the gaming world. Because let's remember, people, no matter how you feel about Xbox, it's still one of the biggest gaming publishers in the world. They have a massive marketplace in the gaming world that continues to grow. Sure, Sony's PlayStation 4 system was dominant, and sure, Sony has a strong relationship with gamers. But if we learned anything from last generation, things can change at the drop of a hat. And I have a feeling that Xbox is really trying to make this next generation into something special, especially when you take into consideration the fact that Bethesda games will most likely be exclusive to the Xbox platform. Yes, I made a video about this a few weeks ago talking about this, saying that Xbox didn't spend $7.5 billion to put games on their competitors' platforms. Instead, they bought it to make the Xbox platform a place gamers have to play on. Don't believe me? Well, let's talk about what Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, had to say on the matter. Let's get into this article and this interview because there's a lot of information in here that really answers all of the questions us gamers have. As an Xbox fan, it also shows me that Xbox is coming into this next generation ready to battle and compete and maybe even win. But first, like always, if you liked the video, hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. Alright, so let's get into this because I've got plenty, and I mean plenty, of questions from a lot of people asking about Bethesda and if their games will be coming to Ps5. And I always answer the same way. To me, no, they won't. I think that Xbox will bring the games Sony has contracts with on the PlayStation 5. But after that, games like Starfield and all the other Bethesda-made games will be exclusive to the Xbox platform. Yet again, that's just my opinion, and if I'm wrong, hey, I'm wrong, no sweat off my back. But I always tell people to look at what Xbox executives say because usually they're spot on with what they say. Phil Spencer has been the most transparent gaming executive I've ever seen. He tells people what's what and tries to keep gamers informed on what they're trying to do with the Xbox platform. And it's why this Bethesda deal is such a big deal, because it does put Xbox and media outlets in a crazy situation, which the article points out here. That big Bethesda deal. It's odd to talk to a console maker about launching two consoles at once, but it's even stranger to be talking to them about a game company they just bought for $7.5 billion. Such are the peculiar times we're in. In September, Microsoft said it was buying ZeniMax, the parent company of Bethesda, ID Software, and other top-flight studios that make the likes of Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, and Doom. So let me stop right there because I do have to admit, with the Bethesda deal plus the EA Play deal, if we all remember, that Xbox locked down, you almost forget the announcements like these are usually saved for an event like XO20 or a massive event like E3. But since we don't have those events because of what's happening around the world, you can see why Xbox decided to release these amazing news items so close to November. It's because they are bringing out two next-generation consoles that will push the Xbox platform for the next several years into the future. So even with all these amazing things like EA Play and Bethesda, we have to realize that Xbox is still releasing two amazing consoles only a few weeks from now, which to me is marketing genius because they not only show that they have the most powerful console in the world, but they also show that the first-party output by Xbox could potentially have no equal, especially after this last generation where it was frankly lacking, which the article points out here. The planned purchase immediately bolstered Microsoft's roster of Eternal Studios. The deal will cap off the company's generation-long shopping spree and attempt to counter the reps of rivals Sony and Nintendo, which have long been regarded as having stronger internal game-making operations. The expanded roster of games also gives Microsoft a lot more content to bundle into their popular Netflix-style Game Pass subscription service and offer via xCloud, the company's game streaming service, which lets players access games remotely and play play them on phones, tablets, and other devices. So first off, no matter what anyone says, I have to agree with the statement made here in regards to Xbox not having as strong as a first-party lineup as Sony and Nintendo did when the generation started. I know that might make some people annoyed, but at the end of the day, we have to agree that as the generation went on, the worst part about Xbox's platform was the lack of first-party studios. And over the last several years, Xbox has fixed that problem and turned into one of their strengths, which I have to commend them for, because they could have just ignored the lack of first-party games and let second-party deals and third-party deals and a few first-party studios they had continue to make games for them. But instead, they put a lot of money down and bought so many studios it became overwhelming. Yet once Xbox bought all those studios, the one question that kept coming around all the time was, will these games only stay on Xbox? It's as if people couldn't accept the fact that Xbox was going to be a huge player in the first-party games. And it's something that came up multiple times with the ZeniMax purchase, which the article brings up here. Spencer had said in previous interviews that existing deals involving ZeniMax games would be honored, suggesting that something like the time-traveling game Deathloop would still come first to PS5, as previously announced. Beyond that though, fans have wondered whether ZeniMax games would go to Xbox and PC only. In other words, they've wondered if PlayStation would stop getting Fallout and miss out on the sequel to Skyrim. So like I said earlier in multiple videos and this video, Xbox will allow Deathloop to finish its production along with Ghostwire Tokyo. Those deals will continue on as planned, but everything else will be Xbox exclusive from here on out. And Phil Spencer said as much when the person interviewing Phil Spencer asked about the potential loss of money from not putting games on the PlayStation 5 platform. Here's what's said. Is it possible to recoup a $7.5 billion investment if you don't sell Elder Scrolls 6 on the PlayStation, I asked. Yes, Spencer quickly replied, then he paused. I don't want to be flip about that, he added. This deal was not done to take games away from other players based like that. Nowhere in the documentation that we put together was how do we keep other players from playing these games. We want more people to be able to play games, not fewer people to be able to play games. But I also say in the model, I'm just answering directly the question that you had. When I think about where people are going to be playing and the number of devices that we had, and we have xCloud and PC and Game Pass and our console base, I don't have to go ship those games on any other platform other than the platforms that we support in order to kind of make the deal work for us, whatever that means. Okay, so first of all, this was said with a lot of political savviness. What I mean by that is that Phil Spencer chose his words very carefully. Part of that is because the Bethesda deal isn't just done yet, and it will take several months before they close that deal. But what I love the most about this is the fact that Phil Spencer said they didn't make this deal with the mindset of keeping it out of hands of other gamers. Instead, he talked about wanting to make their games accessible to more gamers, but on the platforms they support. Because we have to remember the question, can you recoup $7.5 billion investment without putting games on PlayStation? And he quickly replied, yes, because that's exactly what they're going to do. They don't expect to recoup the $7.5 billion quickly. Instead, this was a long investment, an investment in the Xbox ecosystem that will more than pay for itself over a long period of time. So when you hear Phil Spencer say they have xCloud and PC and Game Pass, not to mention the Xbox console itself, you can see that they have plenty of avenues to get their money back. The main one being Xbox Game Pass, which will bring a ton of money for Microsoft every single month. So like I said earlier in the video, this is something that a lot of media outlets felt Xbox had to do. They had to put their games on the PlayStation platform and other platforms. They just had to do it if they wanted to make their money back. When in reality, that's just false, because Xbox has the fan base and the platform to have millions upon millions of gamers play their Bethesda games and their first-party games. And if people from other platforms want to play those world-renowned games, they just have to invest in the Xbox ecosystem to do so. Yet let's cover every single angle, because the article doesn't stop there. Here's what else it had to say. We do know that Microsoft has made a big studio purchase and kept its new franchise multi-platform before. That's what they did with Mojang in its game Minecraft. So wouldn't it be wild to see a Fallout 5 on the PlayStation 5? For now, Spencer has said that platforms for future ZeniMax games will be determined on a case-by-case basis. And even if they make the games multi-platform, Spencer's team can still boast an advantage. ZeniMax's games could be sold at full price on PlayStation, but offered at a large discount on the Xbox platform as part of the $10 a month Game Pass subscription, a killer deal that already grants players launch day access to every new Microsoft published game. Now, while I disagree with the article about Fallout 5 or any Bethesda game after Deathloop and Ghostwire going to the PlayStation 5, the idea that certain gamers have to pay full price for a game when they can just pay $10 a month and get all those games plus so many more does put a huge advantage on the Xbox platform, because it shows the consumer-friendly subscription Game Pass is, not to mention it will make certain people invest in the Xbox Series S console or even a PC to play those games on Xbox Game Pass. I see the strategy that Xbox is going for, and I have to admit, it's a pretty good one. Because they not only give gamers the games they want, but they give it to us in a very affordable manner, not to mention on multiple platforms so we can choose where and how we want to play those games. Platforms like xCloud, PC, and of course, the Xbox console. Outside of that, you'll have to invest in the Xbox platform one way or another. No matter how you look at it, Bethesda games will most likely be exclusive to the Xbox platform. Let's hope that Phil Spencer and Xbox gives us more information on the matter as time goes on, but to be honest, I think we'll hear a lot more about this deal when the deal is finalized and Bethesda becomes a full-on first-party Xbox game studio team. Until then, let's just enjoy the next generation and the games that are coming, because I'm excited to see what happens in the next year or two, or even the next couple of months. But enough about what I think about this. Tell me what you think about all of this. Do you think Bethesda games will be exclusive to the Xbox platform? Do you like what Phil Spencer had to say on the matter? Will you buy an Xbox to play Bethesda games? When will we find out if Starfield is exclusive to the Xbox platform? Do you believe that Xbox can make their money back by releasing their games only on the Xbox? Is PC and Xbox enough for Xbox to make their money back? What will Sony PlayStation fans do to play the biggest RPGs around? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there, so get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. Right now, I'm playing Dishonored 2. I'm having a lot of fun with the game. I'm kind of deep into it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's just a lot of crazy things going on, cool abilities, taking people out, sneaking around. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's pretty cool, and I'm kind of sad that I missed out on this a few years ago. And then after that, I think I'm going to play a little Telltale Batman game. I've been playing that a little bit, going here and there, jumping into episodes every once in a while, but I'm having a lot of fun with that too. But mostly, again, I'm just waiting for these next generation consoles to play Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed Valhalla and all those other games I'm just looking forward to. So yeah, tell me what you're playing. Go down below. I love hearing what everyone's playing. I want to know, are you working through your backlog? Are you playing a new game? Or are you just waiting for the next gen consoles? Let me know down below. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.